Hello, hi, and welcome to EmpathicFire. I am your reader, Jay. These are going to be general messages for the sign of Gemini in October 2019. Hello, Gemini. How are you guys doing? I hope you guys are doing well. All right, guys. Look where we are. Still on vacation. Some of you might not know that I went on vacation here in September. Visited my sister who lives a few states over from me, and today's my last day with her, so it's a sad day. But it's actually been a wonderful time away from home. Got to relax and sort of recalibrate and re-energize myself by being super lazy. So anyway, I've had a wonderful vacation. Hopefully things are going just as well in your life, if not better. All right, Gemini, let's get into it. I have shuffled off camera. That's your main spread there. I will shuffle now on camera for your outcome and your overall energy. Once all the cards are out and they're lying face up on the table, that's when the reading begins. The timestamp for when that actually is in the description box below if you want to jump ahead. Also down there is the information you need if you want to get a personal reading with me. If you want to ask a question before you place a reading just to clarify something, feel free to email me at the exact same address. And of course, remember to like, share, subscribe, comment, and just do all that fun stuff YouTube allows you to do if you find resonance in the message or you just want to give some good karma out into the world, okay? All right, Gemini, let's get into it. I want to see Gemini's outcome for October 2019. Please show me Gemini's outcome for October 2019. Please show me. Bottom of the deck is the overall energy. And that goes there. I'm pretty sure I'm in frame. I think I've got this down now. What? Oh, okay. My sister peeked around the corner and I was like, what? What's going on? Anyway, let's go ahead and flip everything that came face down for you. Whoa. Knocking everything about. There, that goes there. A lot of repeating energies for the readings I've done so far. Gemini, you're the third reading I'm doing for October, but everything seems to be like strung together energetically. But, you know, different stories, so let's figure out what's going on though. All right, how's that look? I think it looks okay. If I had to guess, I think we're in frame. Let's get into it. Please show me where Gemini is in October 2019. Please show me Gemini in October 2019. Please show me. Okay, thank you. Right? Correct. There we go. All right, guys, coming into, I almost said coming into Gemini. Coming into October, Gemini, you come in with the Hermit card in reverse. I'll show you this card upright so you can get better visual of it. Major Arcana for Virgo, so some of you might be dealing with a Virgo, but you don't have to be. Aye, but in reverse, listen. Gemini, you know, the Hermit is a card or an energy that speaks of reflection, of taking time to do some inner work, taking time to really do some internal revenue on yourself, get to sometimes darker or more painful or just more hidden places of yourself, things that you repress or suppress, you know, whether that be memories, whether that be behaviors or roots of behaviors and things like that. It's a very spiritual card. In the reverse, it feels like a hell of an avoidance of that, or in some cases, maybe you're too far down the rabbit hole, so to speak. So it's going to go either way for you guys. Either you're not doing this work at all, which that feels like that's not advisable, or you're like so far down in the depths that you need to come up for air and, you know, kind of pull yourself out of such a reflective point of view or such a reflective behavior, because, you know, the idea is to kind of not go overboard with anything, but then also not to avoid it as well. You know, there's like proper measure to what the Hermit wants you to do. It feels really emotional, like avoiding your emotions about a situation, like sort of playing as if you don't care about something or you have no emotional investment in the outcome of a situation, or the improvement, or the progression of a situation. It feels very much like you're, for those who are avoiding, you're making yourself out to be sort of like a robot. Like you don't you really are denying that there's anything wrong, or that there's anything for you to improve upon, or that there's anything. You don't have to do anything. For those who are avoiding, that's how you feel. You don't have to do anything. You're very much contented, or at least this is what you're telling yourself or telling other people. You're very contented with how things are going, even though somewhere inside of you or people around you are telling you the opposite. Like you can't be, well, you can do whatever you want, but really you should really be concerned about the situation at hand. For those that you've gone too deep, you've kind of lost your grounding. You've lost your footing in a situation. Like you're really like up in the air, or like I said, down in the depths of something, like really submerged in something. Either way, Gemini, it's you're too far on either end of the spectrum, right? And the idea with the Hermit is to use that energy, use the characteristics of the Hermit to really have like I said, a measured perspective, or a properly measured perspective in seeking clarity, in seeking some type of enlightenment, and diving deep and being honest about what you find. This is all super general. I haven't really gotten, for some of you it's like a work thing, or an ethical thing. Thank you. Maybe the ethics involved in your job, or what is ethically or even quote unquote morally correct when it comes to your work. So, I guess we'll find out more about that. It could be relationships as well, family, friends, romantic partners, it doesn't really matter. And you're very like avoidant. In either case, you're not really interacting much with people. If you're in this Hermit and you've gone like to the deep end of the Hermit, you're really not telling people that you've done this, or you're not confirming anything. Like you're not confirming people's quote unquote suspicions, Oh, Gemini, it feels like you're really distant. It feels like you're really going through something emotionally, or you're like really, like pulled into yourself, and you're just like, no, I'm fine. And like you're putting on this like brave social face, even though inside you're like that Hermit is on the card, like you're in a coffin with a gas lamp, and you're just like going over the innards of whatever you're experiencing, and you're not being forthright. Not that you have to be. It's just you don't want people to know, if you're on the deep end, you don't want people to know how far down into this reflective space you are, because it feels very personal. It feels very like it's a very vulnerable place for you to be, and you don't really want to express that right now. Sure, that makes sense. And on the opposite side, if you're not doing it at all, you're obviously avoiding people who are telling you, encouraging you, hey, Gemini, you should pull back a little bit. Maybe you should think about this a little bit more, or maybe you should consider these other things. And some people might be questioning you or suggesting things to you, and you're just like not hearing it. Very closed. So, no bueno? Question mark? I don't know if that's good or bad for you. And I'm not really here to tell you that anyway. So let's just go ahead and move on from it. So what else is going on for you, Gemini? Oh, yeah. I see that. Okay. So, I feel... We'll go one of those ways. Let me see. I feel compelled to talk about that. Okay, we'll go for it. So, underneath your starting position, you have the Major Arcana card, Strength. So some of you are dealing with a Leo, but you don't have to be. With Strength, I think this is sort of like the brave face that you're putting out to the world. This unfazed, in control archetype or attitude or behavior. Like, in many ways, you're trying not to make... You don't want them to see you sweat, right? You don't want people to see that you're in some type of pickle, whatever's going on. You really just don't want anybody to know about it. And so your answer is to portray strength, to portray control, portray having a handle on the situation, when you probably are very much aware that you don't have a handle on the situation. You know, the Hermit in reverse shows a lack of control or a lack of understanding or clarity on a situation. The Strength is not the opposite of that, but the Strength is the would never, especially in the upright, it does not signal that someone is without control, that someone is in need of some type of, you know, spiritual guidance or spiritual clarity or, you know, emotional clarity or anything like that. This is a can-do attitude with the Strength card. And that's what you're projecting to people. And part of that is, you know, a protective energy for yourself. Because again, I don't think you want to do the work or want to be in this space of the Hermit at all. And so those who avoid it, you throw this up. I'm fine. I don't need that reflective work. I don't need to delve into myself. I'm fine the way I am. And then for those that are, you know, on that deep end, the Strength card still works for you because people will show concern for you. They say maybe you've gone too far down that road, and you're saying, no, I can handle it. I can handle it. So in some cases, here we go, a little bit of a storyline. In some cases, some of you might be working with another person. You know, these are two major arcanas, again, for Virgo and Leo. They might embody other people, or there might be other people involved in your situation. Whether they're friends, co-workers, family, professionals like counselors or therapists, I feel that if there is another person or other people in general, you're really doing two things. Or rather, two things are noticeable about you, Gemini. That you need help, but that you are rebuffing help, that you reject help. Whether that's consciously, subconsciously, whether you're actively doing that or passively doing that. And that's really, you know, you're kind of you're kind of isolating yourself, even if you're not isolated, even if you are surrounded by people every day of your life. You are isolating yourself internally. You're standing alone internally. I don't know that that's great for you. Because this is a lot to handle. You know, I mean, not to say every time you go into the Hermit energy or even use the Strength energy that you need other people to support you. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But this feels super excluded. Or secluded, I should say. Secluded. And, okay, thank you. They're like, pick that back up. So, look at what this luchador is doing, struggling with this, like, dragon character, struggling with this beast. Now, other depictions of the Strength card are less ferocious, less active. Like, a lot of times you'll see a maiden in a garden, and she's just like petting the lion, or she, like, leads a lion on a chain or on a leash or something like that. This is, like, actively fighting. So some of you, I don't know that you're necessarily fighting people, but you're resisting. Or you're beyond resisting, struggling. You're struggling with this. Struggling to maintain the strength, struggling to maintain the facade that you're okay. And it's taken a toll on you, I'll tell you that. Is that right? Maybe not. Or maybe. They're like, yeah, but... Because I would say it's taking a toll on you because this reluctance towards vulnerability, I don't know why it's come about, because I don't necessarily think Gemini is sensitive to vulnerability or has sensitive avoidance of it. But at this particular moment, it feels very much, I don't want people to know what's going on with me. I don't want anybody in my personal business. I don't want anybody thinking I'm not capable. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's this perception of, if people see me like this, they'll think that I'm not capable of doing what I need to do. That would work in like a work situation. Like if someone has concern over your emotional status or your mental well-being or anything like that, and you're in a significant position within a workplace, that concern from your perspective, Gemini, feels like undermining. Like, don't undermine me, or don't take away my credibility. Don't undermine my capabilities. Okay, thank you. Why am I going here? Because that doesn't seem to... Okay. This might be you, but it might be someone else. Let's see. King of Cups. Next up in your main spread here. Water sign energy, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. You might be dealing with one of those signs, but you don't have to be. For some of you, this might be you, and this might be you overcompensating or self-medicating. Overcompensating, self-medicating, not the same, but the reasoning is the same, because to keep this up, this Hermit in reverse and this Strength card in tandem together, to keep that up, you build up pressure in yourself. You build up stress, anxiety, frustration, anger, whatever it is. So this King of Cups, I feel, is your escape, or your letting off of steam, reducing the pressure. Yeah? So drinking more, indulging more with drugs and alcohol, indulging more with sex, indulging more with food, escapism, whatever you do to relieve yourself of stress. That's what you're doing. Overindulgent. If this is you. If this isn't you, this is someone external to you, a partner, a significant friendship, a significant family relationship. And not to say that you drive this person to be this way, but this person feels helpless to help you. And therefore they take a lot of burden onto their shoulders, and they start to overcompensate, and they start to self-medicate. This is like very entangled. If this is another person, you're like super entangled with them, like in a business partnership, in a marriage. Either way, whoever's doing this is not effective in the situation, is not helpful, is not they're like kind of lost, because if it's you or someone else, it really doesn't matter. This person would be lost because King of Cups does care. King of Cups has some type of dog in the fight, does want to see a pleasant or beneficial outcome, or to see some type of resolution. But I feel like this person, whether it's you or someone else, is kind of has their hands tied, kind of is unable to effectively move through the situation, or sort of help it along, help the progression, help change it, help alleviate the stress, or alleviate the conflict, if there's conflict, something like that. This King of Cups is rendered almost powerless in the situation, and that's where this overindulgence or overcompensation comes out. So whether that's you or someone else, yes, that makes sense, because I put it down and they're like boxed in, and boxed in a corner. So as you can see, this is a corner in your spread. So this person, whether it's you or someone else, is just off to the side. Like I said before, secluded. Feels like a lot of your energy is secluded from other people. So it's off to the side, not really able to act in the highest vibration that the King of Cups normally can act, which is with, not to say this person or you lack compassion, but to be compassionate, to be level-headed, even though coming from this emotional standpoint, to be caring and honest, and to offer like respite. Like this is like a warm hug kind of energy from the King of Cups normally. The King of Cups really can shoulder the burden of others. Like that's his form of caretaking. Like a quiet nurturer. But boxed off, can't do that. Is rejected from doing that. Is resistant to doing that. So, what's the alternative? Drinking more, sleeping in more, overeating, whatever, overindulgent. Maybe they become a little, I don't feel it strongly, but maybe sometimes there's a bit of a mood. Maybe they become melancholy, or maybe they, have more frequent stints of depression and anxiety flare up in them. They become more irritable. Oy, you got a heavy one. Like I feel really tanked reading this for you. And it's not, I don't say that to be offensive. It's just honestly, you're probably super tired. and coming into this reading, I had a lot of energy. But when these cards came out and I started connecting, my gosh. Now, interesting. Where are we going next? Because we got this, and this is, oh Lord. You're still, like, I think yes, something's coming. And so there's this idea that you could prepare for the changes or the progression in a situation that's going to show up in your life. There's this knowing that you should prepare, but you're not. But you're not at all. Right. So they're just like any of these. And I'm like, well, which one? Okay. Yeah. Okay, thank you. So, some change is coming, or some new pathway will unfold for you, or you're at some type of crossroads. Two of Wands. Yeah. And this particular deck, the Santa Muerte deck, the Two of Wands is way different than the traditional depiction, where you have someone who's at a crossroads, or they're looking out over a vista, looking out over the horizon and deciding where to go. This Two of Wands is very much not looking out and being hopeful, and they're optimistic. This Two of Wands energetically feels, I've rarely ever seen it any other way in this deck. This is like a closed off energy. This is, look at it. It's super defensive, right? It's not forthcoming. It's not forthright. It's very blocked. So I feel you're very resistant to, I've said it before, you're very resistant to some type of change or some type of work or situation that's unfolding around you. And I hate to keep it so general, because by now I normally get strongly work or strongly relationship, strongly family. I'm not getting, it's so general that I think little droplets of this will apply to almost all of you, and you'll be able to piece it together better than I can at this moment. And maybe that's why I feel so tired that I can't even think straight into a particular realm of your life, Gemini. But this Two of Wands, perhaps you have to make a certain choice, or there's certain actions you need to take, because wands often indicate physical action, things that we decide upon within our spirit, and then we act upon them in the 3D space, right? So some of you have choices and actions that you need to take, but you refuse. You're kind of pleading no contest. Ooh, okay, so that's actually isn't that a legal term when you plead no contest to something? So some of you might have legal entrapments or legal work situations, sure, that you need to act upon with haste, but you are dragging your feet on it, or you're really ignoring it, if I'm honest. And Gemini, if I'm honest, if this resonates with you, I really don't think this serves you in the long run, but I also feel like you're so set in this decision, you've dug your heels into whatever you're doing or whatever your approach is to the situation, and I don't think you would be persuaded to change your mind in either direction, or in any direction. It really doesn't matter. But yeah, And this is like sort of also boxed off, being that it's a corner card as well. Because again, you started here in the middle with the Hermit in reverse, and you've got these two major arcanas on either side of your reading, or excuse me, in the center, and on the either side are these minor arcana. So there's like a blockage, because these are so powerful in tandem when they work together. These two majors, even if you wanted to make a different decision, even if you wanted to, you know, finally leave the crossroads and move either left or right, something inside of you is just like, hell no, I'm not going to do that. Or we don't need to do that. Either I'm not going to, or I don't need to. Like, that's kind of where your head is. Oh. And okay, thank you. That's interesting, because again, I love when they just throw things in my head, little words and stuff. So he's brandishing those two pistols, right, or those two revolvers. So they gave me the word showdown. So at your work, in your family, somewhere there's a showdown where basically you're sticking to your guns. Maybe you've made a decision previous to this point, and you have had time, or you've been prompted, or you've been encouraged to rethink a decision that you've made previous to this point. And instead of going back over your decision and really considering another option or considering the alternatives, you stick to your guns, right? And then you put on a bold face. And as more people try to encourage you, you just kind of blank them, and you overindulge, or you escape, because the pressure other people are putting on you might be so much that instead of engaging with it, you ignore phone calls, you delete emails, you don't listen to voicemails, whatever, and you just go about your day pretending these things don't exist. So you're at a crossroads, which also feels like a showdown. And I said something about courts earlier, and I feel like sometimes judges have to rethink their decisions or something like that. So this might be like super impactful on your career, whatever decision you've made previous, and whatever rethinking of that decision you might be encouraged to make now. But you really meant what you said when you said it, and you're kind of sticking with that story. That's very complicated. So let's go ahead and move on. Because I'm not a lawyer, obviously, so I don't know. And I'm not getting it super clearly. And you might not be a lawyer or a judge. You might be in court, like you might be a defendant or a plaintiff in a case or something like that. And other people might be coming to you like they do counter offers and things like that when you're making deals, or you're trying to like settle a court case or settle a civil case or something like that. So there might be a counter offer, and you're just like, no, these are the terms, or this is what I want, and I'm not budging. And your lawyers are like, well, you should reconsider. And you're like, I pay you. You do what I tell you to do. And I said, no, I'm not going to reconsider. Something like that. Dog with a bone kind of energy a little bit there. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on. So what's next? Gemini, this energy is so taxing on me. I feel really drained. Like my eyes kind of hurt, actually. So there might be, and I shouldn't laugh, there might be a little bit of a preemptive celebration on your part or someone's part. 3 of Cups here. I've not felt a lot of romantic inclinations or energy in this reading, period. I don't feel third-party situation. I don't normally say that on my channel anyway when I get the 3s. So I'm just going to definitely say, if you're here for clarity on a third-party situation in a romantic sector, I'm not really feeling it. But if you can piece that together here, go for it. So 3 of Cups, it's about celebrations. It's about, anniversaries and coming back together with people, reuniting, things like that. So it's like one of these things, like, don't count your chickens before they hatch. Someone's doing that. Might be you. Might be you, Gemini, if I'm honest. It's not going to be all of you, but there's a good portion of you that you feel victorious in a situation, or you feel successful in a situation, or you feel confident in something where I don't know how or why you would feel confident given everything that we've talked about. You've been challenged to go deeper, or you've been challenged to come up out of the depths because you've gone way down into too deep, right? And the strength that the strong facade that you have out there, the overcompensation or the overindulgence, being at a crossroads, kind of being hard-headed a little bit like that. I mean, maybe on a personal level you feel victorious, you feel like you finally secured yourself in some type of way, or you finally made peace with a situation or made peace with a relationship, maybe something like that. But this feels like not well, your perspective is a little skewed here. If you are already celebrating, be careful. Not to say you shouldn't be happy and not to say you should be worried, but I feel as though as quickly as you start to celebrate, it could be snatched away. This feeling of being victorious, this feeling of happiness or joy or some type of even if you're breathing easy for like 2 seconds, where there's a lot of stress in these first 4 cards that we talked about. There's a lot of stress and anxiety and pressure here, and the moment that the pressure is let off, you might begin to celebrate so much, and then out of nowhere, like out of left field, boom, it's snatched away. Almost like a rude awakening. Ugh. Jesus. This is so tiring. And I'm not saying that to like offend you or anything. I'm just being honest. I'm like really tired reading this. And I had coffee today, and the coffee was freaking delicious too. So it's not me, it's your energy or the situation itself that surrounds you. It's so, again, okay, fine. If you're celebrating, it could just be a party. It doesn't have to be that you're celebrating some type of victory within a situation that is stressful. It could just be, a weekend away. I'm just gonna take a weekend vacation with my friends. We're gonna go to the beach. We're gonna go over here, do this, that, and the other, and you feel good in that moment. I feel, given everything that surrounds that particular card, don't expect that feeling to last. It's a short-lived, respite, short-lived, positive energy, or energy that feels like normal. Really, it feels normal to you. And Gemini, you're not, of all the signs, you're definitely not one of the heavier signs where you have like a lot of emotionally taxing tendencies or traits about you. Energetically, you normally don't vibe that way, but today, my God. And you might get back to some sense of normalcy. But again, if it's just a weekend away, accept it as that. Don't think that party energy with your friends or whoever is going to carry over into the next few weeks or months of your life, because I just don't feel that's the case. Enjoy it for what it is. If it's a moment of celebration with friends, if it's a family reunion, if it's a party, if it's a weekend getaway, whatever. Enjoy it for what it is. Do not expect that energy to bleed over. Or don't get lost in that. Because you still have all this shit that you're dealing with. Found a card in your main spread, King of Pentacles. Earth sign energy, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. You might be dealing with one of those signs, but you don't have to be. In some cases, this is you. You're definitely all over. Maybe that's what's going on. Maybe that's why I'm so tired, because I feel energetically you're in every single card. Even if this is an external person, even if this King of Pentacles is an external person, even if the Hermit and the Strength card are external people as well, you still are present in every single card that's on this board. Meaning, your energy is spliced. Meaning, your focus is scattered. And, thank you. Hermit reversed would indicate that, because when the Hermit is upright, there's an intention, there's a clear focus on and a game plan for what you need to accomplish or what you want to experience in a situation or what you need to get out of a situation, right? When it's in the reverse, none of that is happening. You're not concentrated. Your energy is scattered all over the place. So I feel in some cases this King of Pentacles will be you, right? Could also be another person. this might be why some of you feel a victory coming, because look, he's carrying that chest and he looks pretty protective over it. And the King of Pentacles represent things that we value. So money, possessions, your job, any type of security to your physical body, so your health, right? And some of you feel really like confident that you have that in the bag, or in this case, in the chest, right? That might be so. But I feel caution because, and he's come up in the previous two readings. This energy is very prevalent right now in the collective. But there's something about his face. I think I'm good if I'm here up against that part. There's something with that look in his face that it feels really, I don't want to say sneaky, but something's up here. Something's up here. So they're showing me, and I don't think this is you, but this is, oh, I think I'm here. Yeah, I think I'm there. I don't think this is purely your characteristic right now, or how you should be characterized right now, Gemini, but the demeanor of this face, this skull face, they showed me the character, I don't know his name, from Titanic, Billy Zane's character, the fiance of Kate Winslet's character, right? Who, at the end, spoiler if you've never seen that movie, at the end he picks up a child, just any child. He's like, let me on the boat, because you know it's women and children first on the lifeboats, and he picks up a random kid and is like, I'm the only thing this kid has left, let me on the boat. And they let him on the boat. So this very scoundrelly, you know, not so great guy escapes a tragic death. Not to say this is exactly what you're doing, but it feels like that. It feels like you or someone around you is looking for a scapegoat, is looking for an escape route that isn't necessarily honest, above board. I said something earlier about ethics and morals. That could be why you're celebrating, because you might have a plan in mind, or you might see a way out of the situation that will kind of keep you in the clear. But given everything we talked about, is that in terms of your, I've used this word more on my channel than I've cared to recently, but is that in the best interest of your karma, Gemini, to do that? I don't know. I would throw caution on that, because you can do whatever you want. Life is always about free will and choice. But there's something about, if you are scapegoating a situation, or if you're finding a certain that pins other people in a bad situation, or leaves other people behind, or paints you to be some type of innocent when maybe you know you're not, you might want to rethink that. But you can always do what you want. You're an individual. This is a free world universe, or free will universe, okay? Do what you want. Your outcome for October, Gemini. 5 of Swords in reverse. I'll show you this card upright so you can get a better look at it. Well, feels like, it really feels like shit's gonna hit the fan in some form or fashion. But as much as I cautioned you about the escape route thing and scapegoating and all that kind of stuff, you might actually, quote unquote, skate away, get off. Oh, see, here again, I'm using law terms. Get off. You might beat the case. If you're actually in court over something, you might beat the case. That 5 of Swords in reverse, because 5 of Swords is about disagreements, it's about arguments, it's about really coming up against adversity amongst a group of people. And, you know, different sides are pitted against each other, and only one will win. Traditionally, when we see the 5 of Swords, we're talking about hollow victories, things that are not substantial, and they're sort of surface wins, or they're wins, but it's in the sense or towards vanity, right? it's not really a win because maybe you won because of unfair circumstances. Like, I don't want to say cheating, but like if you were playing a game, like a board game or some type of competitive sport, and you won, but you cheated to win, did you really win? To some people, yes, of course, I fucking won. They're like, yes, I won. But the method and the ways in which you ensured your win, that's questionable. But with the Five of Swords in the reverse, you might win and people might not know that you or someone else in the situation didn't act in a high regard, were very much unethical, like I mentioned before. As an outcome, that sounds great. For you in the short term, that sounds great. But given everything we talked about previous to this point in the reading, Gemini, be careful. If you have to admit fault, that's another thing that the Hermit in reverse would not do. The Hermit, when it's in the upright, is honest to the pain and the distress and the detriment of the self. The Hermit falls on the sword. When it's in the reverse, not falling on the sword. You fought hard not to do that. You're resistant here, overindulgent here, celebrating here, and then scapegoating over here. And then if you get a victory, able to walk away from a situation without blame, that feels good in the short term. Long term, I mentioned the word once, I'll say it again, karma, I don't know. Be careful. Overall energy, look who showed up right underneath. Justice. Some of y'all are dealing with the law. Some of y'all are dealing with courts, police, contracts, things like that. Maybe divorces or marriages, maybe. But be careful, because justice also has a hand in karma. A little bit. Anyway, your true overall energy is the Five of Pentacles. Yikes. So, Five of Pentacles traditionally talks about lack, talks about poverty, talks about some sense of not having enough, whether that be physical possessions or your material wealth, your actual finances, things like that, or just security, feeling safe, feeling secure, feeling, at ease and grounded in your life. Yeah. So overall, you're coming from this place, or someone is, or the situation at hand is about who has and who has not. The haves versus the have-nots. Whether that's actually you versus them, or just, from a philosophical or socioeconomical standpoint, whatever. There's something about people who have and people who don't. And the motivations from either side are quite complex and subjective. You might think you're in a position of have, and you could act this way. You could think you're in a position of have not, and still act this way. Does that make sense? Like, you or whoever you're involved with, their motivations are grounded or anchored in this Five of Pentacles, meaning I have not enough and I need more, or I have enough and I want to keep it that way. And damn whoever, or, screw the consequences, screw the risk, something like that. Many of you, I think it's coming from a place of I have not, or I don't have enough, or this place of lack, and being unsure of your own security. Or thinking you have just enough and you need to maintain what you already have. And okay, thank you. They're pointing out obviously the artwork here. Look at these feet. How these feet are literally walking on the heads of others. And I mean, these are like vanquished, these are skeletons. These are not, these are dead people. So there's this idea that someone in the situation, I don't want to keep saying you, Gemini, by the way, you've gotten this far and it's a general reading. If you don't know, like, that energy can swap off, and I could have been talking about someone else. If you don't know that by now, I'm sorry. But there's someone who's walking on the backs or walking on the efforts of someone else, clawing their way to the top, throwing people under the bus, selling people out. And it's just like, sure, you can do that. Karmically, is it good? I don't know why I have to keep bringing this up, because I don't think many of you are thinking about your karma too much. Maybe that's why I have to mention it. Maybe you should really get into that and consider what that means long term. All right, Gemini, that is your reading for October 2019. If you liked it, there's a like button down below. I'm not sure what you would like about this. Maybe because it's honest. Anyway, if you like it, like button is down below. Go ahead and hit that for me. You can leave comments on the video letting me know how this resonated in your life. You guys know I like to read that stuff. You can, of course, share the video across your social media platforms, and please, please, please subscribe if you're not already subscribed, okay? That way you're up to date on when I upload, and of course you will be notified as long as you hit the notification bell, all right? Gemini, I'll be back soon with your mid-October readings. You'll also see me go live in mid-October for Libra's birthday period. Obviously, it's specifically for Libras. If you want to show up, you can, and just chill out in the chat and say hi. Or you can skip it because it doesn't have anything to do with you. Or if you're dealing with a Libra, maybe you'll want to sit there and cross-watch and be nosy. I don't know. But you'll see that come up in mid-October as well. And of course, after that, I'll be back for the November readings, okay? All right, Gemini, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. Take care. Bye.